Welcome to the fourth part in this series where I've taken a free Forex strategy, one that I've just found online for trading Forex just off the 4-hour bars, and I'm taking it, I've coded it, put it into my software, and I'm going to rigorously backtest it and hopefully improve it and get something useful out of it. And I'm going to walk you through the process of how I'm doing these things. This is the fourth part. If you haven't seen any of the other parts, then I suggest you probably want to watch them first. The links to those are in the description down below. The developments we done before this particular video, we looked at stop losses, profits, trading times of day. Now we're going to look at different method of taking profit and different method of stop losses and see how that works out. Hopefully we're going to get some good results. So follow me, we go over to my computer and I'll walk you through the development step by step. Moving on then, looking at some different developments to start with. We started last time with the trade times. Now I'm going to not use the trade times to start with. I'm actually going to start now with looking at profit levels and stop levels. And what I'm going to do, whereas before we were looking at profit and stop levels as fixed pips, this time I'm actually going to use a different method which takes into account the range of the 4-hour setup bar, so almost like the true range of the bar. I know people like doing this sort of thing. They like having ATR stops and those sort of ideas, so I thought that could be quite an interesting idea to see how that works. So all I'm doing, we're going to be looking at numbers. If we see a number that is 1 or a number that is 2, that's literally 1 would be 100%, 2 would be 200%. So if the range of the setup 4-hour bar was 55 pips, then we've got to take profit at a level of 1, that would be 55 pips. It's 100% of that bar, and 2 of course would be double, and so on. And the same works for the stop loss. That's just how I've coded it. So first of all, I'm going to run a quick optimization. We're going to look at trading all hours of the day, no stop loss, and we're just going to run a quick optimization on a profit target to see if there's a decent area. And here's the report showing the optimizations. Like I said, over here we've got PC profit, percentage profit, 0.1, that would be 10% of the range of that 4-hour setup bar. 1, for example, is that 100% of the range. And again, looking at the levels of net profit, if we scroll down, they're all negative, but not only are they negative, there's very little consistency. I couldn't see anyway. I've already looked over this just to speed things up in the video, but I couldn't see any consistency, which is quite worrying actually. It's not often that I go ahead and start doing a development like this and don't see any consistency immediately, one way or another. So that's a little bit worrying. What I was hoping for was to find a stable area, stable levels, and then next move on to looking at the stop losses. But for now, I'm actually going to have no profit target, and I'm just going to look at the stop loss, see if we can get some consistency there. And this optimization report is for the stop loss. We can see up here we got my PC stop, percentage stop, and again we're going from, I measured it from, or I optimized, check the levels between 0 all the way down to 5, so 500% of that range. And looking through the net profit column, the stable area that I found that I was most happy with occurred around about it started around 2.6 and ended around 2.9. So this worries me actually. It's a very narrow, very limited, stable range, but we'll press on anyway So I'm actually going to choose 2.8, that level, and we're going to have a look at the equity chart and see what that actually looks like. And here's the equity graph, just using that stop loss of 2.8 or 280% of the range. And as you can see, it's pretty horrible. Although at least it's going sideways at best. It's not going straight down. It's not totally losing like before we used a stop loss. So now we've got that level. Now I'm going to go back to looking at the profit, looking at optimizing the profit target level, and see if anything good jumps out at us there. And here's the optimization report, checking this profit levels. And as you can see, looking again down that net profit, I did find stable areas between kind of 3.9, even all the way up to 4.95. So I would have said, let's go with something somewhere in the middle. Not the best, but certainly within that clump of reasonably stable values. So we're going to use 4.5, and let's see how that now looks on the performance report, using 4.5 as the profit and the 2.8 as the stop loss. And here's the equity graph of using both a stop loss and that take profit. And again, it's pretty awful equity curve as far as I'm concerned. It made a lot of money early on. There must have been something about this strategy, because we noticed it made a lot of money early on in some previous developments. But apart from that, it went sideways at best. So that's pretty horrible. Another thing I noticed looking through the total trade analysis. Now, bearing in mind this was originally supposed to be a strategy where it wasn't lasting, the trades weren't going to last all that long, maybe hours, certainly only into a day or two, as what the original poster of this strategy was actually talking about in the forum. But what we can see here, from using my stop loss and my profit targets, if we look at this value here, this average bars in the trade, that's how long we're in the trade on average, and we can see it's 834 bars. Now, bearing in mind this is a 10-minute chart, so it's saying 834 10-minute bars, which is roughly, it's just under 6 days or 6 24-hour periods. So that's quite a long time. I think we're kind of coming away from what the original idea of this strategy was. I'm not happy that there was such a long average duration of trade here. So what I'm going to do in the next development, I'm going to look at closing the trades at the end of the day. I often find that works quite well with this type of strategy. So as far as these two developments on the stop loss and the take profit are concerned, I don't think they've been much of a success at the moment, but nevertheless we're going to move on. Next, look at exiting at the close of the day, and then look at some stop losses and profits, and then probably introduce some trading times and some other stuff, just to try and make something of this fairly simple strategy that I picked up. And it's worth noting that although results at the moment are fairly dismal, they're not something I'd ever consider using at the moment. We are only testing at the moment on pound versus dollar. I believe that Forex pairs, pound versus dollar or dollar yen, they're two quite different markets, and they do have their own behaviours. So just because this strategy is not working very well on pound dollar doesn't mean that it won't work on another pair like euro yen, for example. So we do have to bear that in mind at the moment. But we'll press on, we'll carry on with some more developments, trying different stuff, and hopefully you'll follow along too.